Alright, so this is quite an interesting and actually very interactive storybook that you can generate in the Gemini platform. So everything here was created by AI, from the illustrations, the text, the cover, everything was created by the AI models on Gemini. And you just need to insert your maybe photo or perhaps some brief or the topic, and then the rest will be created by AI. This is really cool, and I would imagine that a visual storybook like this can be very useful for parents, teachers, educators in the classroom, and maybe you can even use it yourself because these illustrations are quite useful, and maybe it can help you dissect very complex plot or subject. It is something that is more digestible regardless of your age. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a storybook like this using Gemini. Now, if you have been following my channel for quite a while, you'll know that this is not my first time talking about this feature on Gemini, and there is a good reason for that, because recently I noticed that the storybook feature in Gemini is no longer working. I'm not quite sure why, but usually if you want to create a storybook like this, you can navigate to Gemini and then you can open the sidebar, go to gems, and then here there's going to be a gem called Storybook. So it is pre-made by Google. This is official basically. Open it and then you can describe the story that you want to turn into an interactive storybook. So let's say the story of the tortoise and the hare. Okay, just like that, and send a message and just wait for Gemini to create a storybook for you. And that is the reason why I have to create this video again, because apparently there is an error, and for some reason I don't know what's exactly why it is not working, but we cannot generate the storybook anymore via this official gem. But I can understand it because this is still experimental and Google has all the reasons to pull the tool from the surface. So yeah, at least at the moment when I'm recording this video, the tool is no longer working. I'm not quite sure if this is going to be permanent or temporary, but regardless, there is still another way that you can try to generate an interactive storybook using Gemini. So this is another example that look quite similar, but it was created in a different way, because this was created via a feature called Gemini Canvas, and it shares some similarities yet. Like there are some illustrations, the story, and also the book is quite interactive, and I would say the visual is quite nice. And this could be an alternative in case the original storybook feature is no longer working on Gemini. So here's how you can create this storybook. First, let me just open Gemini again. And after that, you can insert this AI prompt, and don't worry, I'm going to put the full prompt in the description down below. Let me just copy it. And there are a few things that I need to explain, and this is very important because if you skip this section, then there's a good chance that the prompt might not be working. So right here, if you look closely, that I mentioned at least 2 AI models that will be utilized in Gemini Canvas. And by the way, in case you are still new here, Gemini Canvas is basically a tool in Gemini that lets you build a web-based app. And in that Gemini Canvas environment, we can actually use some AI models from Google, like Gemini 2.5 Flash Preview. And there is also the Imagen 4.0 model, which is a model that is quite similar to Gemini Nano Banana. It can create images, and that is basically the predecessor of the Gemini Nano Banana model. So those are the 2 models that we are going to use, and they do work right now when I'm recording this video, but I cannot guarantee if these 2 models are still available when you are trying to use this method to create a storybook in Gemini, because previously the Gemini Nano Banana model, which is a model that you can use to generate images, is still available in the Canvas environment, but now it's not working anymore. That's why I have to switch to Imagen 4.0 as a substitution to the Gemini Nano Banana model. And again, in the future, I don't know what other models that would be removed or maybe added, and honestly, it's kind of difficult to track because there is almost no news about it. There's no announcement, etc. So you have to try it yourself. And one way to know the AI models that are available in Gemini or created by Google is you can navigate to aistudio.google.com and you can create, you can log in with your Google account, navigate to Playground, And then right here, you can open it for the model selectors, and you can see all the models that perhaps maybe you can use on the Gemini Canvas environment. Again, there is no guarantee. Like here, let's say maybe we want to use Gemini non-banana, and the name is actually Gemini 2.5 flash image. You can copy the name, and maybe you can replace Imagen with that. But I have tested this and it doesn't work. Apparently, Gemini 2.5 flash image or Gemini non-banana is no longer available. So yeah, that's one thing that you need to know. The models that I mentioned here might no longer working in the future. So always double check it, and if the AI is throwing some error message, just tell Gemini that, hey, can you use a different model, or perhaps you can go to AI Studio and try these models manually one by one to see which one that is still working in the Canvas environment. But anyway, let me just continue. So right here, I'm going to click Tools, click Canvas, and then select the best variation for coding, which is right now the Pro variation. Click Submit, and just wait for, well, several minutes for Gemini to turn this prompt into a web-based app that will let you generate a storybook like this. And by the way, later you can insert your own text and it will turn that into an interactive storybook like this one example that I've showcased earlier. So given that it will take quite some time, I'll just skip forward and I'll show you the next things that you can do. Okay, so I got this result. Now, it's not exactly smooth sailing because during the process, it actually throw me an error message and then I have to tell AI to fix it. But yeah, usually you can just tell Gemini that you encounter some problem and then explain it and then tell it to fix the problem. So it wasn't a big deal, but I think that's something that you need to know when using Gemini Canvas. It can happen from time to time. Now, right here, you can describe the story that you want to turn into a storybook. So it could be maybe the story of the tortoise and the hare, or maybe a plot of a movie, like maybe the Terminator 2 plot movie. That's interesting. And then you can click the generate storybook button, and it will use the Gemini model and also the Imagen model to generate the full storybook. And by the way, I actually have created one, so it will look like this. And yeah, usually you can click on the page to flip to the or open the book, but in this case on my variation it doesn't actually give me that feature, but that's fine. I can still interact with this button. And yep, it is not exactly perfect, but it should be enough. It should be more than enough to be used as a tool that I guess you can use to explain the story to children. And also the illustrations are quite decent. They're not exactly perfect, but I think that should be enough. And this is the limitation of the Imagen model. It is not the best model when it comes to character consistency, but should be fine. And also I noticed there is a bug here because the text seems to be not animating with the page. But again, given that we are working with AI, you can just explain the problem in plain English and then it should be able to fix the problem for you. Now, one thing here that you don't know when you are creating a storybook using this feature on Gemini is that it is not going to be saved. So this storybook is not saved to your account. It is not. So basically, if you want to use it, then just create the story when you need it. There is no save button. Now, technically, you can maybe like add a feature to download the storybook as a PDF document, or add some other variation to download the document. It is possible. You can tell Gemini to add that feature, but remember, when you are creating it, it's not going to be saved on your Gemini account. So it's not going to stay forever. So you need to be a bit more creative when it comes to preserving the content in case you want to use it later. So I would say this is quite a decent book. It is not perfect, not quite the same as in the original storybook, but again, this could be used as a great alternative while the feature is still down for now, or maybe permanently. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, I hope you find this video to be useful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. I wish you a great day ahead.